The NFL Scouting Combine is finally here, and there is a Cincinnati native competing who intends on achieving a very lofty goal, and in this video, I'll explain why the Bengals should be all over him. Hi again, Bengals fans. John Sheeran of A to Z Sports Cincinnati here, and we have arrived at one of the most interesting weeks on the NFL calendar. The NFL Scouting Combine has a plethora of reasons and purposes as to why it exists. A lot of fans just recognize it as a place where players run and jump around for teams in their underwear, but it's obviously much more important than that, right? It's where all 32 teams come together, their personnel departments, coaching staffs, everyone is in the same city, basically the same building, to get to know this upcoming draft class. For many players, they are meeting these teams and coaches and scouts for the very first time. But the NFL is very much aware of them. It's why they were invited to the Combine in the first place. And it definitely matters what you do at the Combine. We've seen some players assert themselves as top picks because of really fast 40 times or just looking really good in the drills. But again, teams are already very aware of who these players are. They've seen them on film many a time. They may have even met with them previously at the Senior Bowl or maybe during the season. So in many ways, the Combine is where teams get to know players a little bit more and confirm what they already believe about them in their scouting reports and really put the finishing touches on their draft boards. And it may not have used to be important back in the day, but the Combine has become extremely important for offensive line prospects because as defensive linemen and pass rushers are becoming naturally more and more athletic through the lower ranks of football and entering the NFL, you need athletes to block him. So while it may not seem that important how fast an offensive lineman runs a 40-yard dash or how high he jumps in the vertical jump or how quickly he does a short shuttle, it has become very important for offensive linemen to be true athletes on the football field. And before he proves to the world how athletic he is, I do want to give a shout out to Cincinnati's own Luke Kandra. For those that don't know this about me, I am from Cincinnati. I still live here. I'm not from the east or the west side technically. I'm from a little bit north in Westchester, but I went to Lakota West High School, and then I went to the University of Cincinnati. I've been a Bearcats fan for my entire life. Luke Kandra, on the other hand, he's from the west side. He went to Elder High School, and then he originally went to Louisville for college when Scott Satterfield was there. And then Scott Satterfield, unfortunately, took the UC job a couple years ago, and he brought Kandra as a transfer player. So whenever there is not only just a Bearcat, but a hometown Bearcat who has a legitimate chance of being drafted early and could be a fit for the Bengals, my attention is secured. And the short answer is yes, Luke Kandra would fit with the Bengals. The slightly longer answer is not only would he fit, but he's exactly the type of player that they should be looking for. Because say what you want about the Bengals' recent history of drafting offensive linemen, I do think they went 2 for 2 last year with both Amarius Mims and Matt Lee. Because the commonalities that both of those guys share are elite athleticism and power. If you were to look at the extensive catalog of busts the Bengals have drafted along the offensive line in the past decade, you'll find that most of them are lacking one of those two qualities. Cedric Ogbuehi, for example, a pretty decent athlete with zero power to speak of. His hands are essentially pillows. The exact opposite was true for Billy Price, who had a little bit of power, but no athleticism. The same was also true for Jackson Carman. Jonah Williams was pretty average in both regards, which is why he's still around the NFL right now. But I mean, just think back to guys like Willie Anderson, Andrew Whitworth, Kevin Zeiler, guys who could not only move, but could move people. That's the combination that you want. That's what makes Amarius Mims special. That's what I think is going to make Matt Lee a future starter in this league, and it's what I think is going to help out Luke Kandra in this process as well. Because when you watch Kandra on film, I'm pretty confident in checking the box for power with him. When he locks onto you with his hands, you are stuck there. He's got phenomenal grip strength, core strength. I think he has the power. As for athleticism, I do think that Kandra can move, but I may not be aware of just how fast he can move, because when he told Jeremy Rao this week that he plans on running a 4.9 and that is his goal in the 40-yard dash, that caught my eye. And that is the fun part of the Combine for us on the outside who aren't interviewing these guys and getting medical reports. It's about confirming what we see on film. Because if Kandra does run that 4.9 at 320 pounds, which is his listed weight, he's probably not going to make it as far as he does in typical mock drafts that you see where he's in the 4th and 5th round. So Kandra definitely has my attention as a draft prospect that the Bengals should have a lot of interest in. But who is on your list? Who do you think the Bengals should be watching closely at the Combine? Let me know in the comments below.